Now, going into the last list, we have Carnage Season 2, Round 3. So this is considered a ITC, UKTC registered. The terrain pack, I won't show that this time around. We'll see how we start to integrate that. But well, now we know it is UKTC and it is a GT level, and it was in England. So we'll take a look at Chris's Taylor 4-in-1 list, which is very respectable. So we do have another Bully Boyz list, but this Bully Boyz list is unlike the other, as this has triple Warboss and Mega Armor. Boom, that's it with all the enhancements. Other list had gas, no enhancements. This list brought to 3 Warbosses, 3 Mega Bosses. I think a lot of people can understand that. 1, 2, 3 units, 4 units of truck, 2 units of Gretchen, and then of course the Kommandos. So we've seen Zagra and now we've seen Kommandos. So I know in our Discord we were talking about, hey, this is gonna be the season of the infiltrators / scouts. We'll see who come out on top. One thing we don't see is a Snickrot here, right? So this guy chose to pay for the Mando tax instead of just paying for solo Snickrot. So keep that in mind as you guys are designing your list. Just because you didn't see Mandos yet doesn't mean they're not where it's at. You know, the game's changing, a lot of big table activity. We can see Mandos being useful. Still pretty expensive though. Then we have 3 units of Meganobz. Interesting take that 2 of them have power claws and 1 have twin kill saws and power claws. So this is a little odd, but hey, it is what it is. Maybe it's just what he had as his loadout. Then he had a big brick of Nobz and then 2 5-man units of Nobz and power claws. I see this question a lot. Absolutely yes. 2 units of 5 Nobz with 2 individual war bosses is fantastic, especially because you can put them both in one truck, stage the truck, jump out, get in a skirmish, jump out, get in a skirmish. Especially because Bully Boyz, you can get in the fight doing these things at the right time. So absolutely, that's a good combo. And of course, I love the Nobz just for their big activation of punching something out cold. Then 2 units of Storm Boys. So not a ton of scoring activating units here. He has to be careful with his Mandos because they have to perform their job and duty for that price. But you do have the trucks left over and a couple Storm Boys. As for his enhancements, real quick, he had big gobs. He wants to yell at someone and take leadership checks. He wants the biggest boss, so you can give his war boss to wounds 9, and then the teleport for that deep strike. So let's take a look at his path to victory. So his first game was against the 1,000 Suns, and he did get a 100 here. So he had an Exalted Sorcerer, a Disc of Zeech. So you know what? I'm going to show you guys that data sheet as well, as I think it's very important as you go into understanding the T-Suns matchup, as they are one of the matchups that can be multiple of our Ork detachment. So we have the Exalted Sorcerer, Disc of Zeech. Now I'm going to look at his ability over here in this corner. It's a psychic. At the end of your movement phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within 18 and visible to the Psyker. Roll a d6. On a 1, the Psyker suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 2+ until the start of your next movement phase, that enemy unit is bound. While that unit is bound, half the movement characteristics of the unit and have the advance and charge rolls for that unit. Ouch. Of course, he also has what was it here? He has his flamer right here that he has that is also oops, sorry, things in the way. D6 -2, D3. You can choose to make it devastating for that. So he's someone that you want to keep in mind. And then when he does take some of these enhancements, like he could choose, let's say something like, I think it's Arcane Vortex. Arcane Vortex adds 1 to the strength and damage for the psychic weapon. So then he can get D3 +1 damage and strength 7, which puts you over for the Nobz, and they're taking 4 up armor saves there, unless you do use Armor of Contempt and such. But then of course you have Magnus around here, so let's get back to the list real quick. But he's a debuff, pretty much running around throwing psychic damage at you and debuffing you as you move around the table. Then you have Magnus the Red, followed by 1,000 Suns Demon Prince on wings. So I should actually have double checked this one. I might check in a second, but one of the Demon Princes gives precision to Terminators. So let's see if he has Terminators. We have Rubric Marines. They have Flamers, another Rubric Marine. So of course 4 5-man units of Rubric Marines, followed by 2 Rhinos, 3 Chaos Spawn, a Forge Fiend, and another Forge Fiend. So I think he was just using the Demon Princes as Demon Princes. This wasn't the most meta version of the list. As you'll see, I believe most of the more meta versions have multiple of these discs each, and more of them. They go very character heavy in 1,000 Suns. So I think for that being off meta, he put up 100 points against that 1,000 Suns list, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, 1,000 Suns going in. So now we're going into his, and keep in mind, 1,000 Suns with their movement shenanigans, with Magnus being kind of somewhat killy on his own. own in many ways, in many matchups. It's something you have to keep in mind for if there's 1,000 Suns hovering around in your place, he's going to be a problem for you, even if you're running Bully Boyz, as they have a bunch of powerful strength abilities getting into dev wounds and such, and flamers. So then we have his second matchup. Let's see what he went into. He went into Necron's Canoptic Court. So we have the Nightbringer, who is a super tiny model, and I will not be over it, as that's frustrating. We have a Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, a Technomancer, and then another Technomancer, followed by a Canoptic Arcanides. I'm not even sure what that thing is. A Canoptic Doomstalker, another one, 2 Scarab Swarms, followed by 2 Wraith Brick, a Locust Destroyer unit, a 3-man with the Exterminator, and then another unit with the Gauss Reaper. So he does only have 2 units of these wraiths on this list, and then he relies kind of heavily on these Void Dragons, these Catans. This is the sort of thing where you do appreciate having a bunch of trucks and having maybe Mandos to just take up the distance already and maybe try to stop some of those wraiths from getting on the objective. It really does come down to, am I just going to try and bully these guys? As you know, Orks actually do have the volume to punch out one of these wraith units. Of course, you want to epic challenge them if you can, so you can kill the character that's actually giving them the 5-up feel no pain. And as for how that comes to playing against the Nightbringer and the Void Dragon, it does take a little bit of your CP investment to understand that I'm going to throw maybe grenades here and there, try to just kind of block people out with the trucks and delay, try to out OC them as I kill the rest of his list, as everything's pretty stationary and you can actually gain the initiative against a lot of these things as the Bully Boyz army. And using the CP, I'm going to just re-roll these hit rolls and really punch out these wraiths. It's going to feel really good. This is where I would have liked to see Gaz in the sort of list, but he's nice to see that he still got it done without a Gaz. Did end up still performing quite well with an 83-point win, but it wasn't an easy win, as he didn't get to max out and go hard. He had to kind of go toe to toe with them, it seems like, for at least one turn where he just came out on top. Then we have his third matchup, which is Richard Halfax. So this is a Tau army. I believe this is the old, maybe it's not, sorry. I think this is the new version of Tau. I should have checked that beforehand. Sorry. I guess you'll be bringing it down. So we have, oh yeah, it is a new one because he has Retaliation Cadre is a new one. So yeah, it's a new one for sure. We have the Commander in Enforcer Battlesuit, another Commander Enforcer Battlesuit, and an Ethereal. So shout out to Tau for losing their Forge World guy that gave them the rerolls, the Tesla dude or whatever he was called. So shout out to them for losing that. We can feel your pain, but we don't feel sorry for you. We have the Crisis unit with the Star Scythe Battlesuit. So 1, 2 units, 3 units of Ghost Keels. This is more like anti-shooting kind of units that you choose. 2 Hammerhead gunships, a Piranha, Riptide Battlesuit, a couple Riptide Battlesuits, stealth suits, boom. Mandos probably pulled out pretty good here. You can choose to, because you're Bully Boyz, to go, well, I'm gonna just go ahead and WAAAGH turn 1 and get my Mandos to get in there. You're not really punching me off you. I'm touching things, I'm delaying you, and you can't overwatch me, and then now I just get to kind of stage up, position myself, then come out and WAAAGH into you, and I've just blasted you, punched you straight up off the table. Of course, they could get in the way with some of these units, so you might need to commit, like a small unit of Nobz to run up and punch something out, like a Piranha or something if it's trying to get in your way. But for the most part, Mandos really shine in something like this. Something like, let's say World Eaters, Tau, any Iron Storm detachment, Mandos can kind of find their place. So I'm sure that he actually appreciated the Mandos in this matchup. And Tau does have a really good play into some Ork list, but Mandos might have just been the key, and he just called that out. So shout out to the Mandos, because like we said, man, playing the game in the middle of the early is pretty nice. And I've seen a bunch of people talk about taking Mandos and Zod or something like that into their Bully Boyz list. So I don't know if you need double the investment, but maybe one, if you know you're going to run into these things, is a big deal. Then we have fourth matchup, which was Thunder Pups. So this is the Stormland Space Wolf Jail. So we have Logan Grimnar on Storm Rider. This gives him, I believe, reroll wounds and charges once per game. So he does like his version of the wall, and he punches pretty hard. Then we have the Wolfguard Battle Leader, another Wolfguard Battle Leader, another one, and then a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf, Fury of the Storm. So he just has like one captain to give them free strats, I believe. The Wolf Lord, I don't think this is the one. No, he's not the one that gives devastating wounds. There's that. We have the Gladiator Lancer, followed by Infiltrators, Redeemer. Okay, a Redemptor Dreadnought. I mean, Scout, Thunderwolf Cavalry, and then a smaller unit, Thunderwolf Cavalry. Vindicator, Wolfen, Clades Assassin. So it's not true Ork jail, Cavalry jail, as normally they'll bring even double up on the characters and max units of cavalry. He did choose to go kind of combined arms between the Vindicators and such. Vindicators do great. Redemptor Dreadnought, you know, they can cause Ork units to bounce, but not with our Bully Boyz, as we're getting our full potential there and we're putting multiple units into them. But you do still want to maybe invest a grenade here and there just to make sure you get through it. And that might be why he said twin kill saws, but this guy brought some power claws too. So a bit surprising. And I really like to see Gaz in these matchups, but he still got to make it work. Mind you, this is on UKTC. It's a little bit different of a matchup. So that could be why he didn't pull a full like Space Wolf kind of jail list. He might just said, I want some guns, which ended up having the Bully Boyz able to chew through his Space Wolves a little too early and reliable. Because that's what I would see that kind of happening in that matchup, where it's like I don't have every single amount of space with Thunderwolf Cavalry, and that third unit sometimes is just a breaking point, and he didn't have that third big brick to punch through on Bully Boyz. And regardless, I mean, maybe he wins second because it looks like he went 100 points on that boy. So shout out to Chris for taking out the Space Wolves, as a lot of people are seeing them as a difficult army to go into, and they are. But when you have a bunch of Meganobz and we're saying you go first, and you might not anymore because both, you know, those guys can straight up bounce off Meganobz, especially on the WAAAGH. So very nice to see. Getting reroll hits means that you're actually putting enough 2 damage on them, and you're wounding them on 2s with twin kill saws. If you have them, you're putting crazy volume on Nobz, so feels very good. Now, last but certainly not least, he went into Thousand Suns. Cardine is the guy, I guess. Obviously, Chris guy was doing crazy on score already, very very good. So he went into him. Chris Taylor did take a loss. He did put up 83 points, so very good. Admirable attempt, but he did go into Thousand Suns like we spoke of earlier, because Thousand Suns do have the tools with their quick movement shenanigans, nasty overwatches, Magnus getting off on his game, and being able to put, like we said, these exalted sorcerers on disc on you right here with reducing your movement, your charges, and your advances. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting amount of debuffing for such a small package. And he has 2 right here on top of also having Infernal Masters and Magnus the Red. He has 3 units of 5 Rubric Marines, and then 1 big unit of Rubric Marines. Interesting. So maybe he's trying to throttle that one with the Dev Wounds. 2 units of Zangars, followed by a Thousand Suns Rhino, Thousand Suns Cultist, 2 units of those. You can see he paid a little bit more for the tax for, I'm just going to have more reliable characters, because those characters are really what's benefiting from the detachment in the army, and they're really just abusing their ritual capabilities and such like that for just some nasty damage and movement potential. I mean, they can auto-see you with something like a Magnus, even on a small unit of Bully Boyz, like a knob, just, hey, I can just kill some of you and I'm here. So they can choose when to kill you, just enough to kill you, put stuff in the way to delay you, and then win that way as well, because he was just straight up pulling points, which means he had to actually stand on multiple objectives. So the mission play could come into a factor here too, but shout out to Chris putting up a valiant effort, because Thousands are one of those armies that they'll get you, man. They'll get you with their fancy shenanigans here with this guy Exalted Sorcerer, or they'll just get you with extra crazy damage that you just weren't ready for once you weren't in the water anymore. So shout out to Chris Taylor for going 4-1 with the Orks. Whoa, for the England UKTC. Let's go. You guys have your meta and stuff set up there, and I understand it, and that's why I take all that into consideration and I try to look at all of it. We all are part of the Great WAAAGH here. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!